Eurydice. How do I pronounce this?
Eurydice.
Eurydice. Oh, off to a thrilling start. Eurydice Speaks by Eavan Boland?
Eavan Boland.
Eavan Boland.
Sorry, it's my handwriting.
No, I just don't know how to read anything. All right. Eurydice. This is a beautiful poem. Eurydice Speaks by Eavan Boland. How will I know you in the underworld? How will we find each other? We lived for so long on the physical earth, our skies littered with actual stars, practical tides in our own bay. What will we do with the loneliness of the mythical? Walking beside ditches brimming with dactyls, by a ferryman whose feet are scanned for him, on the shore of a river written and rewritten as an elegy, epic episode. Remember the thin air of our earthly winters? Frost was an icon, underhand descent. Dusk was always in session. And no one needed to write down or restate or make record of or ever would and never will the plain spoken music of recognition. Nor will the way I often stood at the window, the hills growing dark saying, as a shadow became a stride and a raincoat was woven out of streetlight, I would know you anywhere. What a beautiful poem.
Oh, yeah, I hope you enjoyed it.
I did.
I selected that one for you because you mentioned that you were the only person among any of us whose brain hasn't been poisoned by Hades.
It's true.
I wouldn't say poison.
I mean, maybe I'll play it one day. I'm just like famously bad at video games. It's not that I have anything against it. I have like no hand-eye coordination.
Oh, there's modes for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Like, it's just
and there's enough variety; it doesn't get boring.
I mean, you just watch me doing stretches. You're like I will go counterclockwise when everybody else is going clockwise.
Yeah, I understand.
Like it's just, it's not good.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. But to me,
Really good.
this was just like, I don't know. It's hard to understand what's actually being said if you've only read it out loud once. But I feel like, to me, it's just like, we never had to talk about any of this stuff. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice?
The one where he goes, no. Well, I mean, vaguely, but not enough to confidently describe it. So tell me about it.
So Orpheus is a poet. He marries a nymph named Eurydice, and she is killed during a storm and taken down to the underworld. And Orpheus travels to the underworld to try and rescue her. He sneaks past Cerberus by lulling it to sleep and makes a deal with Hades that he can take Eurydice out of the underworld, but he has to trust her and Hades. So she will walk behind him, and he cannot look over his shoulder to confirm that she's there.
Okay.
And he makes it almost out of the underworld. He's right on the very edge, and the not knowing whether she is truly there or not is killing him. And he glances over his shoulder and sees her there, and she is snatched away because he didn't keep his promise. Thank you, Joe.
Which is like, I always like the reading of it as a description of funerary rites, essentially, that when somebody who is close to you dies, we all kind of wind up going into the underworld with them. And it is the responsibility of the living to crawl back out. But I like this perspective from Eurydice because, as you say, it's about how there was never a need for explicit terms of trust between us.
Mm-hmm.
That I knew you were coming home and didn't need to, because it's Eurydice looking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's her waiting, and this one gets taught a lot in university, I think. So I don't know if anyone else has run across this one, but I don't know, I think about it a lot. The idea of, we were of this place, and now we are not.
Mm-hmm.
You're one of the only people that I would run Wraith the Oblivion for.
I really want to run it, or I want to play it, because I remember that book very fondly. I never bought it, because my friends were like, no, I don't want to play a character where somebody, the person to my left, can just throw my character into a wood chipper.
There's a couple of different ways to play with that mechanic.
Yeah.
So there's a mechanic in Wraith the Oblivion. You actually, like, you're dead. Like, you're already dead. You're a ghost.
Yeah.
You're in the afterlife. And there's a couple of mechanics where when you die, you get a shadow. The little voice in your head becomes an actual, like, real thing that can affect you. You can have somebody play the shadow guide, like an actual other player.
Wow.
So, like, be that voice in the back of your head, but that takes a incredible amount of trust. But there's a bunch of different ways that you can play with that mechanic. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the only World of Darkness game that I generally don't run. It is at once the most hopeful and the most sad. Yeah. But, I mean, the worst has already happened. You're dead. So, yeah.
Yeah. You're a sad ghost already.
Yeah, you're a sad ghost already.